Imagine trudging through a muddy 14th century European village, your leather shoes sinking into the earth, each step a measure of a world where walking defined life's rhythm. It's around 1350, and as a peasant, merchant, or pilgrim, your legs carry you everywhere. Fields, markets, or distant shrines, across rutted paths and perilous terrain. This is a journey through a time when distance was counted in hours or days, shaped by weather, bandits, and the weight of your load. From daily treks for water to weeks-long pilgrimages, every step tested endurance in a society bound by foot travel. Join us as we measure the pace of medieval life, where time and distance wove the fabric of survival. Share where you're reading from and what time it is. Drop a comment to join our history-loving crew. If this tale of medieval strides captivates you, a like or share keeps these stories moving. Now, step into a world where every journey was a labor, and let the paths of the past guide you through their timeless challenge. The dawn breaks over a 14th century European village, its first light filtering through a patchwork of fields and thatched huts nestled in a valley. It's around 1350, and you awaken on a straw pallet in a cramped wattle and daub home, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and smouldering hearth. As a peasant, merchant, or pilgrim, your day begins with the familiar act of lacing up worn leather shoes or wooden clogs, preparing to walk, your only means of getting anywhere. In this world, walking is the heartbeat of life, connecting you to fields, markets, or distant shrines across muddy tracks and rugged terrain. The air carries the scent of dew-soaked grass, the faint musk of livestock, and the distant tang of a river, but each step is a negotiation with the earth's challenges, mud, rocks, or sudden storms. This segment sets the stage for a journey through medieval Europe, where time and distance were measured by foot, shaped by terrain, weather, and the feudal order, revealing a life where every journey tested endurance and defined survival. Walking is universal, a necessity for nearly all but the wealthiest, who ride horses or are carried in litters. As a peasant, you walk to your fields, a mile or two from your hut, your sickle or hoe slung over your shoulder, the path a rutted track worn by generations. Merchants trudge to market towns, their packs heavy with cloth or spices, their steps cautious to avoid bandits. Pilgrims driven by faith trek dozens or hundreds of miles to shrines like Canterbury or Santiago, their staffs tapping the earth, their feet blistered by days on the road. Even in towns, where streets are crowded and narrow, walking is the only way to navigate the maze of alleys, each step dodging muck or carts. Your shoes, if you have them, are simple. Leather soles stitched with coarse thread, or clogs carved from wood, their surfaces worn thin by constant use. Bare feet are common among the poorest, their soles toughened but vulnerable to thorns or frost. The terrain is a formidable foe, dictating the pace and peril of every journey. Rural paths are little more than dirt tracks winding through fields or forests, their surfaces churned by hooves and rain into sticky mud. In spring or autumn, these tracks become quagmires, sucking at your shoes, each step a struggle that slows you to a crawl. A mile might take half an hour in good weather, but double that in rain, your legs aching as you pull free from the mire. Forests dense with oak or beech offer shade but hide roots and brambles that trip you, their undergrowth thick with mud after a storm. Hills, common in regions like Tuscany or the Cotswolds, force you to climb or descend, your breath short, your pace halved on steep slopes. Rivers, often unbridged, demand wading or ferries, the cold water numbing your legs, the current a risk for the unwary. Weather is an ever-present challenge, turning paths into obstacles or journeys into ordeals. Summer's heat bakes the ground hard, kicking up dust that stings your eyes and coats your throat, slowing you as you pause to sip from a leather flask if you have one. Winter's frost hardens the mud but makes it slick, your feet slipping on icy patches, your hands numb despite wrapping them in rags. Rain, frequent in northern Europe, is the worst, turning paths into rivers of mud, soaking your woolen tunic or kirtle, adding weight to every step. A sudden storm can strand you, forcing you to shelter under a tree or in a stranger's barn, your journey delayed by hours or days. Snow, though rare in milder regions, can bury paths, making a mile's walk a hours-long slog, your body chilled to the bone. The feudal order shapes who walks and where. Its rules a constant constraint. As a peasant, you're tied to the Lord's land, your walks limited to his fields or the village, unless granted leave for a market or pilgrimage. Leaving without permission marks you a fugitive, risking fines or worse. Merchants with more freedom walk trade routes, but their journeys are taxed. Tolls at bridges or town gates cut into their profits, forcing longer routes to avoid fees. Pilgrims, though revered, need the church's blessing or the Lord's consent. Their travels a privilege not all can claim. Women face added restrictions, their walks often confined to safe paths, fields, wells, or churches, lest they face scorn or danger. The wealthy, riding horses, bypass the mud, their journeys faster, their status a shield against the terrain's toll. Distance and time are fluid, measured not in miles, but in effort and hours. A fit adult might walk 3 miles an hour on a flat, dry path, covering 10 to 15 miles in a day with breaks. But medieval paths are rarely flat or dry, and your pace slows to 1 or 2 miles an hour in mud or hills. A trip to a market 5 miles away might take 2 hours in summer, 3 in rain, the return slower with a heavy load. Pilgrimages spanning hundreds of miles could take weeks or months, each day's walk limited to 10 or 12 miles to preserve strength. You pause for rest at noon, sitting on a stone or under a tree, your bread and ale shared sparingly, your body aching but driven by need, work, trade, or faith. The sensory world of walking is vivid, rooting you in this life of motion. The air smells of earth and grass in the countryside, of smoke and waste in towns, each breath tinged with the season's mood. Wet moss in spring, dust in summer. Paths crunch underfoot, their mud sucking at your shoes, their stones bruising your soles. Sounds fill your journey, the rustle of leaves, the creak of a cart, the distant low of cattle, or the shout of a fellow traveller. Your clothes chafe, their wool heavy with damp or dust, your hands gripping a staff or sack, their skin rough from labour. Hunger is a constant companion, your morning's bread a memory by midday, the weight of your load a reminder of the journey's cost. The sky shifts, golden at dawn, grey with rain by noon, its moods dictating your pace, the wind carrying the scent of fields or filth. The social fabric of walking is complex, a mix of solitude and camaraderie. Alone on a rural path, you're wary, your eyes scanning for bandits or wolves, your staff a makeshift weapon. In groups, safety grows. Merchants travel in caravans, pilgrims in bands, their chatter a shield against fear. Villages offer hospitality, a barn or hearth shared for a night, though strangers are eyed with suspicion, their motives questioned. In towns, the streets are crowded, your shoulder brushing others as you weave through markets, your steps quick to avoid a cart or pig. Women travelling alone face gossip or worse, their journeys shorter and safer in company. Children, sent to fetch water or deliver goods, dart through paths, their small legs quick but vulnerable to hazards like ruts or stray dogs. The physical toll of walking is relentless, your body bearing the marks of every journey. Blisters form on your heels, the leather of your shoes rubbing raw, their soles thin against stones. Mud cakes your legs, its weight slowing you, its chill seeping into your bones. Carrying a load, grain, cloth, or tools strains your shoulders, your back aching by day's end. Hunger saps your strength, your rations of bread or cheese eaten sparingly, water from a stream or flask sipped to stretch it. Fatigue sets in after hours of walking, your pace slowing, your eyes heavy, yet stopping too long risks nightfall when paths grow dangerous. You've seen travellers collapse, their strength spent, their bodies left by the road, a grim reminder of walking's cost. The cultural significance of walking weaves through medieval life, a thread of necessity and meaning. For peasants, walking is labour, tying you to fields or markets, your steps a duty to the Lord. Merchants see walking as trade, each mile a chance for profit, though the road's perils, bandits or tolls, cut into their gains. Pilgrims walk for faith, their journeys a penance or prayer, each step a step toward salvation, their staffs marked with shells or crosses. The Church blesses such travels, offering indulgences, but also controls them, ensuring pilgrims carry permits. Walking is also a marker of status. Nobles ride, peasants walk, the divide clear in every muddy step. Yet all share the road's hardships, their journeys a shared struggle against the earth's resistance. The fragility of this life is stark, each walk a gamble against nature and man. A twisted ankle on a route can strand you, a storm can flood a path, a bandit can rob you of your goods or life. You've heard of travellers lost to rivers or wolves, their bodies unburied, their names forgotten. Illness, fever from a chill, infection from a cut can strike mid-journey with no healer nearby. Yet walking is inescapable, the only way to reach your fields, sell your wares, or seek a shrine. The town or village hums with movement, its people bound by the need to move, their steps a rhythm of survival. You carry on, your legs strong from years of toil, your heart set on the journey's end, however distant. The day stretches on, and you walk toward your destination. A field, a market, a church, your steps steady despite the mud or stones. The village or town fades behind you, its sounds softening, the path ahead a challenge you meet with every stride. Walking defines this world, its pace slow, its toll heavy, but its necessity absolute. The terrain, weather, and feudal rules shape each journey, their weight a constant test of endurance. For now, you press forward, the earth underfoot, the sky above, your life a measure of steps in a world where every walk is a labour, a prayer, a fight to survive. The midday sun climbs higher over the 14th century European landscape, its light glinting off the dew-soaked fields as you trudge along a dirt path, your worn shoes crunching against the uneven earth. It's around 1350, and as a peasant, merchant, or pilgrim, you've embraced walking as the rhythm of life, your steps connecting you to work, trade, or faith, as explored in the daily treks that define your world. Now your focus shifts to the roads themselves, muddy tracks, rutted paths, or rare stone routes that shape every journey. The air carries the scent of damp soil and distant wood smoke, while the path beneath you, scarred by hooves and wheels, tests your endurance with every step. This segment delves into the state of medieval roads, their poor condition slowing travel, and the perils, bandits, floods, broken bridges, that make each walk a gamble. These routes, barely maintained and treacherous, dictate the time it takes to reach your destination, revealing a world where the very ground beneath you is as much an adversary as the weather or feudal constraints. Medieval roads are a far cry from modern highways, their condition a patchwork of neglect and necessity. Most are simple dirt tracks, worn by generations of feet, hooves and carts, winding through fields, forests or hills. In rural areas, these paths follow the land's contours, snaking around streams or rocky outcrops, their routes dictated by convenience rather than planning. A typical path, barely wide enough for two to walk abreast, is a mix of packed earth and loose stones, its surface churned into mud by rain, or hardened into ruts by summer's heat. You move cautiously, your eyes scanning for roots or rocks that could twist an ankle, your staff tapping the ground for stability. A mile on a dry, flat path might take 20 minutes, but mud or hills can stretch that to 40, your pace slowed to a careful shuffle. In towns, streets are no better, their narrow alleys paved with mud or gravel, often flooded with waste from homes or markets. The main thoroughfares used by carts and livestock are deeply rutted, their surfaces slick with dung or refuse as you've navigated in daily routines. Cobblestones, a luxury, appear only in wealthier towns or near cathedrals, their uneven surfaces kinder to shoes but still jarring underfoot. Even these are rare. Most urban paths are dirt, their mud thickened by the town's filth, slowing your steps to a crawl. A short walk across a town, perhaps a half mile, could take 15 minutes on a good day, but double that in rain, your clogs slipping or sinking with every stride. The quality of roads varies by region and purpose. Roman roads, remnants of an ancient empire, still linger in places like England or Italy, their stone slabs worn but sturdy, offering faster travel, up to 3 miles an hour for a fit walker. Yet these are few, often overgrown or quarried for building, their paths fading into the landscape. Major trade routes, linking towns like London to York or Paris to Orleans, are slightly better maintained, their dirt surfaces widened by merchants' carts, but still prone to mud or collapse. Local paths, used by peasants to reach fields or villages, are the worst, their upkeep left to communities with little time or coin. You've trudged these tracks, your sack of grain or tools heavy on your shoulder, the path's ruts forcing you to pause and adjust your load. Weather is a relentless foe, transforming roads into obstacles. Spring rains turn dirt paths into quagmires, their mud knee-deep in places, each step a battle to free your shoe from the mire's grip. A 2-mile walk to a nearby village might take an hour in such conditions, your legs aching, your clothes sodden. Summer's dry heat bakes paths into cracked earth, kicking up dust that stings your eyes and coats your throat, slowing you as you stop to sip from a flask. Autumn brings more rain, swelling streams that cut across paths, forcing detours or wading through cold, fast-moving water. Winter's frost hardens the ground, but ice makes it slick, your feet slipping, your hands numb as you grip your staff. A sudden storm can halt you entirely, leaving you to shelter under a tree, your journey delayed by hours or days. Bridges, where they exist, are another hazard, their condition as unreliable as the roads. Most are wooden, their planks weathered and creaking, often too narrow for carts, forcing you to balance as you cross. A river crossing might add 10 minutes to a short walk, but a broken bridge, its timbers rotted or washed away, can force a detour of miles, stretching a day's journey into 2. Stone bridges, built by monasteries or lords, are sturdier but rare, their tolls a tax on your coin or goods. You've waded rivers when bridges fail, the water chilling your legs, the current threatening to sweep you away. Ferries, manned by villagers, are another option, but their cost, grain or a hen, is steep, and their schedules are erratic, leaving you stranded if you miss the crossing. Bandits are a constant threat, lurking on lonely paths or in forest shadows. Trade routes busy with merchants carrying cloth or spices are prime targets, their isolation a lure for thieves. You walk with a staff or knife, your eyes scanning the trees, your heart racing at every rustle. A robbery could cost your goods, your coin, or your life, and tales of travellers found dead by the road are common. Pilgrims, marked by their staffs or shells, are safer in groups, but lone walkers are vulnerable, their pace quickened by fear. A 10-mile journey might take 4 hours on a clear path, but detours to avoid known bandit haunts through hills or denser woods can add hours, your steps cautious, your senses alert. Wild animals, though less common, add to the perils. Wolves, rare but feared, prowl forests in lean winters, their howls a chill in your spine as you walk at dusk. Boars, with their sharp tusks, can charge from underbrush, forcing you to climb a tree or swing your staff. Stray dogs, scavenging in towns, might snap at your heels, their barks a warning to keep moving. These threats slow your pace, your eyes darting to shadows, your journey stretched by the need for caution. A walk to a market 5 miles away, normally 2 hours, might take 3 if you skirt a forest known for wolves, your heart pounding as you hurry towards safety. The feudal system shapes the road's condition, its neglect a burden on the walker. Lords, responsible for major routes, rarely maintain them. Their focus on taxes or war, not travel. Peasants tasked with local upkeep have little time after fieldwork, their efforts limited to filling ruts with stones or clearing fallen trees. Tolls charged at bridges or town gates are a constant drain, forcing you to carry extra grain or coin, adding weight to your load. The church, owning some routes, maintains pilgrimage paths better. Their monks clearing debris or building simple bridges, but these are exceptions. You've cursed the Lord's indifference as you slip in mud, knowing his men ride horses, their boots clean while yours are caked with filth. The seasons dictate not just the road's condition, but their use. Spring and autumn, with their rains, are the hardest, paths turning to sludge, rivers swelling to block crossings. Summer offers drier tracks, but dust and heat slow you, your flask emptying too soon. Winter, though hard, can be kinder to roads, freezing mud into a firm surface, though ice and snow pose their own risks. You plan journeys around these cycles, waiting for dry days when you can, but work or faith often forces you out, your steps heavy with mud or frost. A trip to a shrine 10 miles away might take 4 hours in summer, 6 in spring's rain, each season a test of your endurance. The sensory world of these roads is vivid, grounding you in the struggle. The air smells of wet earth on rural paths, of dung and refuse in towns, each breath tinged with the season's mood. Blooming wildflowers in spring, dust in summer. The ground crunches or squelches, its stones bruising your feet, its mud sucking at your clogs. Sounds hum, the rustle of leaves, the creak of a distant cart, the howl of a wolf at dusk. Your clothes chafe, their wool heavy with damp, your hands gripping a staff, their skin cracked from cold or sun. Hunger gnaws, your bread or cheese rationed, the weight of your load a constant ache. The sky shifts, blue in summer, grey with rain in autumn, its moods shaping your journey, the wind carrying the scent of pine or filth. The fragility of travel is stark, each walk a gamble against nature and man. A broken bridge, a bandit's knife, or a sudden fever can end a journey, leaving you stranded or dead. You've heard of travellers lost to rivers or wolves, their goods stolen, their bodies unburied. Yet walking is your life, tying you to fields, markets or shrines. The village or town hums with others like you, their steps a shared rhythm, their resilience a quiet strength. You carry on, your legs toughened by years of toil, your heart set on the path's end, however perilous. The day wears on, and you press forward, the path stretching toward a field, a market or a distant church. The roads, with their mud, ruts and dangers, slow your pace. Each step a fight against the earth's resistance. The perils, bandits, floods, broken bridges are ever present, their threat a weight you carry. For now, you walk, the sun high, the world alive with the sounds of travel, your life a measure of steps in a world where every journey is a test of will and endurance. The early afternoon sun bathes the 14th century European village in a warm glow, its rays highlighting the rutted dirt paths that wind through fields and past thatched huts. It's around 1350, and as a peasant, your life is defined by walking, each step a necessity to survive amidst the muddy tracks and perilous roads explored earlier. Having navigated these treacherous paths, you now focus on the short, daily treks that consume your hours. Walks to fields, wells or markets, each a vital thread in the fabric of survival. The air carries the scent of fresh-turned earth, the faint bleat of sheep, and the distant clatter of a cart, but the ground beneath your worn leather shoes or wooden clogs is uneven, demanding careful steps to avoid a stumble. This segment delves into the routine walks for work and sustenance, calculating the time and distance of these journeys and revealing how the relentless demands of labor, terrain, and feudal life shaped a world where every step was a measure of endurance. Your day begins at first light, the village stirring as you step out of your wattle and daub hut, a sack of tools or a basket in hand. The most common trek is to the fields, where you owe labour to the Lord or tend your own small strip of land. The fields, often a mile or two from the village, stretch across open land, their furrows of rye, barley, or oats swaying under the breeze. On a dry day, a 1-mile walk might take 20 minutes, your pace steady at 3 miles an hour, but spring mud or autumn rain slows you to half that speed, each step sinking into the mire. A 2-mile round trip to the fields, common for many peasants, could take an hour in good conditions, but closer to 2 in wet weather, your legs heavy with mud, your tunic soaked. Fetching water is another daily necessity, a task often falling to women or children. The village well or stream, typically a quarter to a half-mile from your hut, requires a short but frequent walk. Carrying a wooden bucket, you tread a narrow path worn by countless feet, its surface rutted or slick with dew. A half-mile walk to the well takes 10 minutes at a brisk pace, but the return, with a heavy bucket sloshing water, stretches to 15 or 20, your arms aching, your steps cautious to avoid spilling. In a day, you might make this trip 3 or 4 times, cooking, washing, or watering livestock, adding an hour or more to your walking. The paths, stones, or roots a constant threat to your balance. The market, whether in your village or a nearby town, is a longer trek, vital for selling produce or buying necessities like salt or cloth. A market town might be 3 to 5 miles away, a distance that shapes your week. A 3-mile walk, manageable in an hour on a dry path, stretches to 90 minutes or more in rain, the muddy track sucking at your clogs. You carry a sack of grain or a basket of eggs, its weight slowing you, the return heavier with purchases. A round trip of 6 miles could take 3 to 4 hours, consuming half your day, especially if you linger to haggle or rest. In winter, when paths ice over, or summer, when dust chokes your throat, the journey feels endless, your body weary by the time you reach home. Visiting neighbors or the village church is another routine walk, strengthening community ties or fulfilling religious duties. The church, often at the village's heart, might be a mere quarter-mile away, a 10-minute walk on a clear path. But Sunday services or feast days draw you there, your steps slowed by crowds or muddy churchyard paths, adding minutes to the trip. Visiting a neighbor's hut, perhaps a half-mile across the village, takes 15 minutes, but gossip or shared tasks, mending a net or borrowing a tool, extends the visit. These short walks, though frequent, add up, their time nibbling at your day, their paths familiar but never easy, each step dodging puddles or livestock. The terrain of these daily treks varies, each path a challenge. Village paths are dirt, worn by feet and hooves, their surfaces uneven with roots or ruts from carts. A flat, dry path allows a steady pace, but hills, common in regions like the Yorkshire Dales or the Alps, cut your speed, a mile taking 30 minutes or more on a steep climb. Streams, often unbridged, force you to wade, the cold water slowing you, adding 10 minutes to cross a small creek. In towns, narrow alleys thick with mud or refuse slow you further, a half-mile walk to a market stall taking 20 minutes as you dodge carts or pigs. The terrain's resistance is a constant, your legs adapting to its demands, your shoes wearing thin against its roughness. Weather shapes these walks as much as the roads themselves. Summer's heat makes you pause for shade, sipping from a flask, a 1-mile walk stretching to 30 minutes as sweat soaks your tunic. Winter's frost hardens paths, but ice forces a cautious shuffle, a half-mile to the well taking 15 minutes instead of 10. Rain, frequent in northern Europe, is the worst, turning paths into sludge, a 2-mile trek to the fields taking an hour and a half, your clogs heavy with mud. You plan your walks when you can, waiting for clear skies, but work and survival demand movement, rain or shine, your body chilled or overheated, your steps driven by necessity. The feudal system adds its own burdens, dictating when and where you walk. As a peasant, your labor belongs to the lord, requiring walks to his fields or manor, often a mile or 2 away, 3 days a week. These treks, unpaid and mandatory, consume hours, leaving little time for your own plot. The Lord's bailiff tracks your movements, ensuring you don't stray without permission, a rule that binds you to short local walks unless granted leave for a market or church. Women tasked with fetching water or visiting markets face added scrutiny, their walks confined to safe paths to avoid gossip or danger. Children, sent to gather firewood or deliver goods, walk shorter distances, their small legs quick but easily tired, a half-mile trip to a neighbor taking 20 minutes. The physical toll of these daily walks is relentless. Your shoes, leather or wood, blister your feet, their soles thinning against stones, requiring mending with scraps or straw. Carrying a bucket, sack or tool strains your shoulders. A 2-mile walk with a load feeling twice as long, your back aching by the return. Hunger saps your strength, your morning's bread or pottage, a faint memory by noon, your steps slowing as fatigue sets in. Blisters or cuts from sharp rocks fester if untreated, a risk you counter with rags or herbs, though infection looms. You've seen neighbors limp home, their ankles twisted, their strength spent, a reminder that a single misstep can halt your work or survival. The social aspect of these walks weaves a fragile community. You pass neighbors on the path to the fields, exchanging nods or news. Your steps matched for a moment before parting. Women at the well share gossip, their buckets clinking, their chatter a brief respite from labor. Children, darting to fetch water or firewood, call to each other, their games interrupted by tasks, their laughter a spark in the grind. Yet solitude is common, especially on field paths where you walk alone, your thoughts on the day's work, your eyes wary for hazards like stray dogs or sudden ruts. These walks, though routine, bind the village, their shared paths, a thread of connection, however fleeting. The cultural significance of daily walks lies in their necessity, each trek a duty to family, lord, or faith. Walking to the fields is your livelihood, the crops you tend feeding your kin or the manor. The market walk is survival, trading eggs for salt or cloth, each step a hope for a better deal. Church walks are devotion, your presence at Mass earning the priest's approval, though the muddy path tests your piety. These routines define your role, peasant, mother, child, their rhythm a constant in a world of uncertainty. Yet they also mark your place in the feudal order, your steps serving the Lord's fields or the church's tithes, your freedom limited by their demands. The sensory world of these treks is vivid, anchoring you in the struggle. The air smells of grass and livestock in the village, of smoke and refuse in towns, each breath tinged with the season, blooming clover in spring, dust in summer. Paths crunch or squelch, their stones bruising your feet, their mud clinging to your hem. Sounds hum, the bleat of sheep, the creak of a distant gate, the splash of a stream as you cross. Your clothes chafe, their wool heavy with damp, your hands gripping a bucket or staff, their skin cracked from cold. Hunger gnaws, your rations sparse, the weight of a load a constant ache. The sky shifts, clear at dawn, cloudy by noon, its moods shaping your pace. The wind carrying the scent of rain or hay. The fragility of this life is stark, each walk a small risk. A twisted ankle on a route can halt your work. A sudden storm can strand you. A fall with a bucket can waste precious water. You've heard of neighbors felled by exhaustion or injury, their families struggling without them. Yet these daily treks are inescapable, tying you to survival. The village hums with others walking, fields, wells, markets. Their steps a shared rhythm. You carry on, your legs strong from years of toil, your heart set on the task's end, however small. The afternoon fades, and you return from the fields or well, your bucket sloshing or sack heavy with grain. The village settles, its paths quieter, the sun dipping low. These daily walks, to work, to water, to market, are the pulse of your life, their time and distance a measure of survival. The terrain, weather and feudal demands shape each step, their weight a test of endurance. For now you rest, the hearth's glow a refuge, your life a tapestry of steps in a world where every trek is a labor for survival. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the 14th century European landscape, its golden light softening the edges of fields and forests as you pause on a dirt path, your staff sinking into the earth. It's around 1350, and as a peasant, merchant, or pilgrim, your daily treks to fields or markets, shaped by the muddy, perilous roads of your world, are but one part of life's rhythm. Now your gaze lifts to the horizon, where longer journeys, pilgrimages to sacred shrines or trade routes to distant towns, beckon, demanding days or weeks of walking across vast distances. The air hums with the scent of pine and distant hay, while the path ahead, rutted and winding, promises challenges beyond the village's familiar bounds. This segment explores these extended travels, estimating the time and distance of pilgrimages and trade routes, factoring in rest stops, terrain, and seasonal hurdles, and revealing a world where such journeys tested faith, endurance, and survival against the relentless measure of steps. Pilgrimages are a cornerstone of medieval life, driven by faith or penance, drawing you to shrines like Canterbury, Santiago de Compostela, or Rome. As a pilgrim, you might walk to a local shrine, a day's journey of 10 miles, or embark on a months-long trek across Europe. A pilgrimage to Canterbury from London, about 60 miles, could take 5 to 7 days for a fit walker, averaging 10 to 12 miles daily. You rise at dawn, your pack light with bread, cheese, and a cloak, your staff marked with a shell or cross. A dry, flat path lets you cover 3 miles an hour, but muddy tracks or hills slow you to 1 or 2, stretching a 10-mile day to 6 or 8 hours. You pause at noon, sitting on a stone to eat, your legs aching, your blisters raw from leather shoes or clogs. Longer pilgrimages, like the Camino de Santiago from southern France to northwest Spain, roughly 500 miles, demand weeks or months. A steady pace of 12 miles a day, common for pilgrims, means 40 to 50 days of walking, not counting rest days or delays. You travel in groups for safety, your steps matched to others, your chatter of saints or hardships a distraction from the road's toll. The Pyrenees, with their steep climbs, cut your pace to 1 mile an hour, a 10-mile day taking 10 hours, your breath short, your calves burning. Rivers, often unbridged, force wading or ferries, adding hours or days if floods swell the current. You sleep in monasteries or village barns, their straw pallets a relief, though fleas and cold keep rest fitful. Trade routes vital for merchants are another grueling journey, linking towns like Bruges to Cologne or Florence to Venice. A merchant travelling from London to York, about 200 miles, might walk 15 miles a day with a heavy pack of cloth or spices, taking 2 weeks with rest stops. Your pace, faster than a pilgrim's due to profit's urgency, averages 2 to 3 miles an hour on good paths, but mud or ruts slow you to 1. A 15-mile day takes 6 to 8 hours, your shoulders strained by a pack, your eyes scanning for bandits. You join caravans for safety, the group's pace set by the slowest, adding hours if a cart breaks or a path floods. Market towns offer inns, their ale and bread a costly comfort, but you often sleep by the road, a fire warding off the chill. Longer pilgrimages, like the Camino de Santiago from southern France to northwest Spain, roughly 500 miles, demand weeks or months. A steady pace of 12 miles a day, common for pilgrims, means 40 to 50 days of walking, not counting rest days or delays. You travel in groups for safety, your steps matched to others, your chatter of saints or hardships a distraction from the road's toll. The Pyrenees, with their steep climbs, cut your pace to 1 mile an hour, a 10-mile day taking 10 hours, your breath short, your calves burning. Rivers, often unbridged, force wading or ferries, adding hours or days if floods swell the current. You sleep in monasteries or village barns, their straw pallets a relief, though fleas and cold keep rest fitful. Trade routes, vital for merchants, are another grueling journey, linking towns like Bruges to Cologne or Florence to Venice. A merchant travelling from London to York, about 200 miles, might walk 15 miles a day with a heavy pack of cloth or spices, taking 2 weeks with rest stops. Your pace, faster than a pilgrim's due to profit's urgency, averages 2 to 3 miles an hour on good paths, but mud or ruts slow you to 1. A 15-mile day takes 6 to 8 hours, your shoulders strained by a pack, your eyes scanning for bandits. You join caravans for safety, the group's pace set by the slowest, adding hours if a cart breaks or a path floods. Market towns offer inns, their ale and bread a costly comfort, but you often sleep by the road, a fire warding off the chill. Rest stops are critical, breaking the monotony and strain of long walks. Villages, spaced 5 to 10 miles apart, offer a barn or hearth for a night, though hospitality comes with a price: coin, goods, or labor. Monasteries, common on pilgrimage routes, provide shelter, their monks offering bread or broth for a prayer or donation. You rest at midday, sitting under a tree or by a stream, your rations sparse to last the journey. A rest might last an hour, but longer stops, half a day to mend shoes or wait out rain, stretch your travel time. A 100-mile pilgrimage, planned for 8 days at 12 miles each, could take 10 with rest stops, your body demanding pauses to ease blisters or hunger. Terrain is a relentless challenge on these journeys. Trade routes like the Via Francigena from Canterbury to Rome cross plains, hills and mountains, each demanding a different pace. Flat paths in northern France allow 3 miles an hour, a 12-mile day taking 4 hours, but the Alps slow you to a crawl, a steep mile taking an hour, your staff digging into rocky slopes. Forests, thick with oak or pine, hide roots and brambles tripping you in the dim light, a 5-mile stretch taking 3 hours. Rivers, frequent on trade routes, require ferries or wading, a single crossing adding 30 minutes or more. You've waded icy streams, your legs numb, your cloak heavy with water, knowing a misstep could sweep you away. Weather compounds the ordeal, its moods dictating your progress. Summer's heat saps your strength, dust coating your throat, a 12-mile day stretching to 8 hours as you pause for shade. Winter's frost makes paths slick, a 10-mile walk taking 7 hours as you shuffle to avoid ice. Rain, common in spring or autumn, turns roots into mud. A 15-mile trade journey taking 10 hours, your shoes ruined, your pack sodden. Snow, rare but deadly, can bury paths, a 5-mile trek taking half a day, your hands numb despite rags. You plan for clear days, but trade or faith forces you out, your steps heavy, your body chilled or sweating, each mile a test of will. Bandits are a constant threat on long routes, their ambushes a peril of trade and pilgrimage. Forests or isolated stretches like the roads to Santiago hide thieves, their knives gleaming in the dusk. You walk in groups, your staff a weapon, your heart racing at every shadow. A bandit attack can delay you hours, forcing a detour or cost your goods, leaving you stranded. A 20-mile day planned for 7 hours might take 10 if you skirt a known bandit haunt, your pace quickened by fear. Pilgrims marked by their shells are safer in groups, but merchants with valuable loads are prime targets, their journeys planned to avoid nightfall when danger peaks. Bridges and ferries, vital for crossing rivers, are unreliable. Wooden bridges, often rotting, creak underfoot, a crossing adding 10 minutes or forcing a detour if collapsed. Stone bridges, rare and tolled, are faster but costly, a penny or a sack of grain lost to the keeper. Ferries, manned by villagers, are erratic, their schedules tied to weather or whim, a missed boat adding hours or a day. You've waited by a riverbank, your pack heavy, the ferryman demanding a hen for passage, your journey stalled until you pay. A 50-mile pilgrimage might take an extra day for river crossings, each delay a test of patience and resources. The feudal system shapes these journeys, its rules a constant burden. Lords charge tolls at bridges or town gates, a tax on your grain or coin, forcing lighter packs or longer routes to avoid them. Pilgrims need the church's blessing or a lord's permit, their absence risking fines or arrest. Merchants with more freedom still face tolls or guild restrictions, their profits eaten by fees. Women, rarely travelling far, need escorts for safety, their journeys limited to local shrines unless in groups. You've paid a toll in eggs or cloth, your sack lighter, your heart heavy with the Lord's greed, knowing his men ride while you walk. The sensory world of these journeys is vivid, anchoring you in their grind. The air smells of forest moss or river mud, tinged with smoke from distant villages. Paths crunch with gravel or squelch with mud, their stones bruising your feet, their ruts jarring your knees. Sounds hum, the chirp of birds, the creak of a ferry, the rustle of leaves hiding a threat. Your clothes chafe, their wool heavy with rain or dust, your hands gripping a staff, their skin cracked from sun or cold. Hunger gnaws, your bread and cheese rationed, the weight of your pack a constant ache. The sky shifts, clear at dawn, stormy by dusk, its moods slowing your steps, the wind carrying the scent of rain or pine. The fragility of these journeys is stark. Each mile a risk. A twisted ankle, a flooded river, or a bandit's knife can end your trip, leaving you stranded or dead. You've heard of pilgrims lost to fever, merchants robbed of their goods, their bodies left by the road, illness, chills from wet clothes, infection from blisters, strikes without warning, with no healer on remote paths. Yet these journeys are vital for faith or profit, tying you to a wider world. You walk with others when you can, their steps a shared rhythm, their stories a spark in the grind. Your legs, toughened by years, carry you forward, your heart set on the shrine or market ahead. The day fades and you pause on the road, your staff planted, your pack heavy. The path stretches toward a distant shrine or town, its challenges, terrain, weather, bandits, a test of endurance. These long journeys, for pilgrimage or trade, are a measure of your will, their time and distance a mark of survival. For now, you rest, the sun dipping low, the world alive with the rhythm of steps, your life a testament to the strength it takes to walk the roads of medieval Europe. The stars begin to pierce the deepening dusk over the 14th century European countryside, their faint glow guiding your final steps along a worn dirt path. It's around 1350, and as a peasant, merchant or pilgrim, you've traversed the muddy tracks, endured the long treks of trade or faith, and navigated the social barriers that shaped your journeys. Now, as the silhouette of your village emerges, its thatched huts huddled against the night, you reflect on the broader impact of walking in this world. The air is cool, scented with dew and distant hay, the path beneath your battered shoes softening as you near home. This final segment explores how walking wove the fabric of medieval society, from trade to community bonds, and connects those steps to modern quests for sustainable travel. As we close this tale, we honor the resilience of those who measured their lives in footsteps, their legacy a quiet triumph that echoes in every path we tread today, guiding us to a gentle, reflective end. Walking was the pulse of medieval life, binding communities and economies in a world without wheels for most. For peasants, daily treks to fields or markets, often 2 miles taking an hour, sustained families and fed the Lord's manor, your steps planting the seeds of a feudal system that relied on your labor. Merchants, walking trade routes spanning 50 miles over 4 days, linked towns like Bruges to Cologne, their goods, cloth, spices or salt, fueling commerce that built urban wealth. Each step, weighed by a heavy pack, was a gamble for profit, your pace quickened to outrun bandits or tolls. Pilgrims trekking 100 miles to shrines over 10 days wove spiritual threads, their journeys strengthening the church's hold, their shared paths fostering tales of faith that echoed in village hearths. These walks, whether for work, trade, or devotion, were the threads that stitched society together, each step a link in a chain of survival and connection. Communal bonds grew from these shared journeys despite the feudal divide. In villages, neighbors walked together to fields, a mile's trek in 20 minutes, swapping stories of crops or weather, their chatter a spark of unity. Merchants, traveling in caravans for safety, shared burdens over 15-mile days, their 5-hour walks eased by tales of markets or deals, their trust fragile but vital. Pilgrims, banded in groups for protection, sang hymns or shared bread on 12-mile treks, their 6-hour days lightened by faith, their bonds forged in the face of hardship. Women, fetching water a half-mile away in 10 minutes, lingered at wells, their gossip knitting families closer, though feudal rules kept them wary. These shared steps, however brief, built communities, their paths a space for laughter, grief, or hope, even as hunger or danger loomed. Walking also shaped the medieval economy, its slow pace a foundation for trade and growth. Markets thrived because merchants walked 20 miles in 8 hours to deliver goods, their wares, wool from England, wine from Bordeaux, feeding towns and manors. Villages, spaced 5 to 10 miles apart, relied on peasants walking to fields or mills, their 2-mile treks in an hour ensuring crops reached the Lord's granary. Pilgrimage routes, like the Camino de Santiago, spurred local economies, with monasteries and inns springing up to house travelers walking 10 miles a day. Your own steps, whether carrying grain or a pilgrim's staff, fueled this system, your labor unseen but essential, the economy's pulse measured in the dust you kicked up on the road. The physical toll of walking defined bodies and lives, its marks etched in your skin and bones. Daily treks, 3 miles to a market in an hour, toughened your legs but blistered your feet, your leather shoes or clogs worn thin by stones. Long journeys, like a 50-mile pilgrimage over 5 days, left you limping, your shoulders aching from a pack, your hands cracked from gripping a staff. Hunger was a constant, your bread and cheese rationed over days, each step fueled by dwindling strength. You've seen neighbors falter, their bodies broken by a fall or fever, their walks halted by injury or death. Yet your resilience grew, your steps a testament to a body honed by necessity, your endurance a quiet defiance of the road's hardships. Culturally, walking was a lens for identity and status. Peasants walking to fields or wells were marked as laborers, their muddy shoes a badge of servitude. Merchants trudging trade routes were entrepreneurs, their steps a pursuit of wealth, though tolls and bandits cut into their gains. Pilgrims with staffs and shells were seekers of grace, their long walks a public act of faith, revered by the church. Nobles, riding horses, looked down on walkers, their mobility a privilege you couldn't claim. Women, restricted to short, safe walks, carried the weight of scrutiny, their steps watched by village eyes. Each journey, whether a mile to a field or 100 to a shrine, reflected your place in this world, your steps a mirror of duty, ambition, or devotion. The feudal system, with its rigid rules, constrained walking's freedom. Lords controlled movement, demanding permits for peasants to leave their land, a 5-mile market walk risking a fine if unauthorized. Merchants paid tolls, grain or coin, for bridges or gates, adding hours to a 10-mile trek. Pilgrims needed the church's blessing, their 20-mile journeys sanctioned but monitored, ensuring loyalty to faith and Lord. These barriers, enforced by bailiffs or priests, made walking a privilege as much as a necessity, your steps a negotiation with power. You felt the Lord's gaze, your sack lighter after a toll, your heart heavy with the knowledge that freedom belonged to those who rode. Modern parallels emerge from this legacy as we seek sustainable travel in a world of cars and planes. Walking, once a necessity, is now a choice for health or environment, our paths paved, but our steps echoing yours. Urban planners design walkable cities, their streets cleaner than your muddy tracks, yet crowded with new challenges, traffic, pollution, or sprawl. Rural trails, like those you walked, invite hikers, their 10-mile treks a nod to your pilgrimages, though now for leisure, not faith. Your thrift, carrying bread for days, mending shoes with rags, lives in our efforts to reduce waste, to tread lightly on the earth. The resilience you showed, walking through mud or danger, inspires us to face our own challenges, our steps a tribute to yours. Your legacy is one of endurance, your walks a foundation for a civilization that grew from your toil. The fields you reached, the markets you supplied, the shrines you sought shaped Europe's economy, faith, and communities, though history rarely names you. Your steps through mud or dust carried goods, prayers, and hope, each mile a quiet victory over hardship. Today, we walk for choice, not survival, but your world reminds us of movement's cost, time, strength, and will. We honor you, the nameless walker, whose legs carried a society forward, whose heart held firm against the road's trials. Your paths, now paved or lost, live in the trails we tread, the steps we take, the value we place on connection and endurance. As night falls, the village glows faintly, its hearths a beacon as you near home. The path, worn by your steps, fades into the dark, the air soft with the scent of straw and river. Your walks, daily treks, long pilgrimages, trade routes were the pulse of your life, their distances a measure of survival, their barriers a test of will. The feudal rules, cultural norms, and muddy tracks shaped each step, but your resilience shone through, a legacy etched in every mile. Let the weight of your journeys lift now, your story told, your steps a flame that lights our way. Rest in the peace of a life well lived, a world moved forward by your tireless feet, their echo carrying us gently into the stillness of the night.